Hello everyone! Today we're going to be learning how to draw a body in a 3/4 view. Now, as always, the first thing you need to learn how to draw something is a reference. Never try to draw without references, especially if it's the first time you're drawing something. You need to see to learn how to draw something. You can't just go from your head because then you'll make mistakes. It's normal. Now, where do you get references? Well, very simply, you can find some websites. For example, you can go to Pinterest. You can use stock photo websites like unsplash.com, Pixabay and Pexels. There are others around. Next, if you don't want to use the internet for references, or if you're looking for a very specific pose, for example a side 3/4 view, you can take pictures of yourself or ask your friends for help. Ask to take photos of your friends posing as you want, and there we go, you have a reference now. Now here, as you can see, I'm using the body cone. This is a very handy tool, so if you want, you can get one of these. You have both a male and a female version, and this comes with a lot of accessories that you can change. You can change the hands, you can change if you want them to be holding something, and as you can see, everything is articulated, so you can move the figurine around and make them pose however you want. So since I wasn't finding a good pose on the internet or something clear as I wanted to show you how to draw a 3/4 view of the body, I decided to clean off the dust of my body cone and use it for this video. So now that we have a reference, we're going for our next step, which is find the shapes. So how do we find the shapes? In this case, I'm doing this digitally, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some transparency here to our image, create a layer on top, and now I'm going to find the shapes in this image. Now, if we're doing this traditionally, you can always add some transparency to the photo, print it out and draw on top of it. I think it's always very useful for you to draw the things on top, just so you learn well how to learn something. You're finding shapes, you're trying to get the hang of the whole body and the structure, so do not be afraid to draw on top of this, okay? I'm going to start with the head, and the first thing I'm going to draw is, of course, a circle. Then a line going down here, and we have the middle of the face. And then we can connect these ones. So we have the head and we have an ear right here. Now let's find the eye line. It's around here. So we already have the head. The head in 3/4 is done. Now let's go for the next shapes. We have the neck right here. Right? There we go. Now let's find here again our line in the middle and go down all the way to here. Alright, so now we know where the center is. Now let's find the rest of the shapes. Let's go for the torso. So for the torso, I like to create a shape like this. This is more or less the shape that we have from our thorax, and I think it's very useful to draw it this way. Now, of course, since we are drawing something in perspective, then we have to remember that this shape is not a shape in 2 dimensions, but 3 dimensions. So let's add something here to the sides. There we go. So we can continue, go down the rest of the torso. We have something like this. Again, 3D right here, happening right here. Now for the, how to call this? I forgot the word in English. The hips, the hip area, we have here. Bit of a triangle shape right here. Now all we are missing is the legs and the arms. Now you don't need to do exactly like I do, but sometimes I like to just go with circle, line, circle for the elbow here, line going down again, circle for the wrist, and then we have a hand. Now same thing on the other side. Let's connect these two so they are on the same level. So line going down, circle for the elbow, line going down, circle for the wrist, and finally the hand. Alright, so the same thing for the legs. There we go. So line going down, circle for the knee, and line going down, circle here, and then we have one foot. So let's find those shapes here. There we go. Now the same thing on the other side. So as you can see here, the circle is not completely seen, but you should draw all of it. Line going down, circle, line going down, a tiny circle, and then you have another foot. So there we go. We have our basic shapes. So as you can see right here, we already have quite something. Now of course, if you want to have a bit more structure here, you can go back here and draw the rest of the shapes here. So we have a shape here for the arm, right? Then we have here the rest of our arm. Now the same thing on the other side, we have one shape here and another one here. There we go. And now we do the same for the legs. So we have one shape, goes here to the knee. Here we have a curve. So pay attention to the legs shape. So as you can see, here we have some straight lines or almost straight lines, and then the lower part of the legs we have a bit of a curve on the back of the leg, right? Like this. Alright, so let's move it again. So there we go, we have the whole structure of our body, we have our basic shapes. Now all we have to do is practice this a lot. So before going to the next stage, I would say to just practice the shapes a lot, just do the structure, just use your guidelines and the shapes, and practice a lot before going for a more detailed sketch. Now when I say memorize the shapes, it's not you memorizing in your mind like, okay, so I start with a circle, then I have a rectangle. No, it's not like this. What you're doing is exercising your muscle memory, and the more you repeat something, the more your muscles really remember that movement and the shapes that you're drawing. So fill up a sketchbook or two with this until you feel you're ready to go for the next step. So we went through 2 steps, getting a reference, then finding the shapes, and now we're going to draw a more detailed sketch. So we don't have all these lines going on about. So I'm going to add a new layer on top, some transparency here to the other one, and now I'm going to be drawing just what we need to go for the final lines. We have the head, we have here this line. Now I'm going to draw here our body. Around here in this line we have our belly button. Here we have the chest area, right? It's a bit, actually, as you can see here, it's below this line a little bit. Of course there's different types of bodies, so we're just going along the outside of the lines that we drew so far. Now we have here the rest of the torso. It goes inside and outside once we get to the hips. There we go. I'm not being very detailed with the hands here, just simple shapes. I could even go simple with them because that's not what we're focusing right now. We want to focus on the entire structure of the body. So as you can see now, it's very simplified. The body is still here. And now the last step, which is draw the final lines, a clean version of it. Now I'm going to do this very quickly. I'm not going to be doing here a very perfect drawing, a very finalized drawing. This is just a study. And remember, if you're doing just studies, you don't need to take hours and hours on it. If you're doing a drawing that you want to have a final version of it, a very clean and beautiful version of it, then yes, you can take as long as you want, as long as you usually do. It always depends on the kind of work that you do. But if you're just doing studies, don't worry too much on taking like 3 hours in just one study. So after each study, look at what you did and see what you need to fix. So there it is, a very quick study. Let's see here how we started and how we finished. So we started with the shapes, and from there we cleaned everything up a little bit, and then we made some final lines. And there we go, we have here a 3/4 body. Now I do have some classes on Skillshare on how to draw the female and male body, and we do more or less this kind of process but with different views. So if you're interested in that, there's a link in the description. You get 2 months for free, watch some classes and learn more about drawing. And of course, if you like this video, like and subscribe so you can see more of this, and as always, keep on drawing.